Welcome back everyone. As you probably guessed from the title and the intro, this is the light that we're going over today. This is the newest pistol mounted light from Streamlight that I'm aware of anyway as of when we record this video. It is the TLR HP-X. It has the new body style that the TLR HL that we reviewed a few months ago has two USB-C rechargeable batteries. However, it also works with your standard CR123s. You will have a little bit of a drop in output, and it also has the load from the front style versus the original TLR-1 HLs that many of us know. And there are some other differences as well that we will get into. And we have zoomed in a little bit just to talk about the biggest one of those features, and that is switchology on this one. So I suppose before we get into that, let's talk about the TLR-1 HL that everybody knows and loves. It has that rocker on the rear, and basically if you are right-handed and you press down on it like that, that will get you your temporary, and if you press up on it, it will give you the constant. Now, of course, the exact opposite is true if you're a left-handed shooter, so you have to push up on it to actuate it with your offhand thumb, and then down and let it sit for that constant mode. Now, as you will see here on this one, that is not the case at all. So on either side of it, the actual controls are the same, so that is something that a lot of people out there will love. And basically, you're gonna press and hold to give yourself a momentary, and for constant, you're just gonna tap it real quick, and that is it. That is your switches on both sides. Additionally, the switches on this one are interchangeable. It comes with two different sets of switches. Right now I have the high switches on there, but we will roll in a photo and let you guys see how it comes from the factory with the low switches on there. Honestly, I don't know why anyone would run the low switches. I do think this is one of the biggest advantages for this new body style because as a right-handed shooter, this is essentially how I'm going to actuate the light. And when I'm up there with that high thumb grip, I have to move a lot less with these high switches than I would to actuate the ones that are down here, just breaking my grip more than I want to. This one here is just fantastic. You get a good positive notification that you are actually pressing the light, and then just release. It's very tactile, it's very audible, as audible as switches are anyway. But you do get a good interface from it, and it also has good texturing on there. I really do think the switches on this are one of the, if not the best in the industry with the new body style. Now, of course, that is a preference thing. It's not something I can prove, but certainly very good. Now here in just a second, we are going to do a beam comparison. Once the sun goes down, we're going to do it with the TLR-1 HL. This is a 1000 lumen, 20,000 candela light. And then we're also going to use the new TLR-1 HP. This is their newest TLR-1 version. With the standard body that I am aware of. This one here has, I believe, 65,000 candela, as opposed to the rating on this one, which I don't think I mentioned. I should have, but I didn't. Is going to be 1,300 lumens, as well as 77,000 candela. So you definitely get more candela if you're using those USB-C rechargeable batteries here with this guy. But this one here is no slouch as well. Stay tuned, review on this one is coming. But we're going to do that beam comparison here in just a second. Before I do that, I wanted to kind of walk you guys through a few things on the actual light itself. Number one, it does take those interchangeable pieces there that will allow you to use different inserts like the Beretta 92, the 1913 variants. They have a few of those, and then also the Glock insert on there as well. It doesn't have quite as many as this one does because it doesn't need it due to the body style, but it does come with those, so that way if you want to set it up for your specific gun, you can do so and change the length of those switches with those 1913 inserts on there. Additionally, on this side, we do have a C-clip that does lock it in place, the screw I should say, that's what it's doing. However, over the years I've had many of those come off, and it's good if you have it, but you don't really need it, in my opinion. And then additionally, how you tighten it down is a little bit different than it is on the TLR-1s. The TLR-1s had those little ears on there that would stick out, and you could basically work them with your finger. On this one, you can work it with your finger to a point. However, eventually, because those ears are ground off, you're going to need something like the tip of a projectile, for example, to tighten it down, or like a dime will work as well. But you're gonna need some sort of flat interface in there to get it nice and snugged up on your gun. And how do you actually get those batteries out? Well, pretty simple. So there's a little button here on this side. You're just going to press those. That will unlock this lever right here. So right now this lever is locked. I cannot hit it. So you're gonna press the button. Too many things doing in my hand. I press the button, I unlock it. The lever then comes forward. When it's in all the way forward position, you can pull down, and that will take your batteries out. Again, that way you can do it and you can leave the light on the gun while you recharge these USB-C rechargeable batteries on there. So that is how it works. And of course, to close it back up is the exact opposite. You're gonna push that lever, lock it down, you want to hear it click, and then make sure that that button is locked up positively. In my previous video on the similar body light, I didn't do that once, and I paid the price as the battery shot out the end of the gun while I was firing. That is a user error though, but it is something to keep in mind. Make sure you get that positive click and that positive engagement. You might want to give it a little tug just in case. And with that, let's wait until the lights go down and get into that beam comparison. For those of you who are new to my light reviews, if you are watching on a device that allows you to increase the brightness on your screen, I'd recommend doing that. I have my camera set on manual, but if you increase that brightness, that would be as close to what I see out here with my human eye. As you guys can see, we have some natural illumination today. The moon is about half full, and then my neighbor off to the right has his outdoor lights on, giving us some noise pollution, but that is real world conditions, and it is raining outside, so got a lot going on today. So we will start out with the light from the TLR-1 HL, the one that we all know and love, 1000 lumen, 20,000 Candela. You guys can see the spot there where the wood fence meets the iron fence. It's around 25-30 yards away. Those trees in the background go out to about 50 yards depending on the trees that you're looking at. You'll see the hot spot there. Nice, nothing wrong with it. This is a great light still in my opinion to this day, but we will compare it to the other ones. I think we're going to see a difference. And now we're looking at the output from the TLR-1 HP. As you guys can see there, that hotspot is much more intense, much more condensed as well. And it's pushing through that rain and sort of fog conditions that we have out here a little bit better than the original TLR. But the flood is not quite as floody. It's still got some pretty good flood though, honestly. Just not quite as floody. Again, this is the HP version. And then that again is the original TLR-1 HL. Side by side, there you go. And here we have the output from the HP-X, TLR-1 HP-X that we are reviewing here today. You can see that flood wall there on the outer edge of your screen, much more defined than it was with the traditional TLR-1 HP and HL1, and definitely a nice tight hotspot. Now to compare it once again to the original TLR-1 HL, there you guys can see at this distance, the hotspot isn't that different. I mean, you can definitely tell much more intensity here. It's kind of like washing out the camera, if you will. But both of those would make you wince if they were oriented at your eyes at this distance. As we stretch across the lake, that probably will look a little bit different. That manual setting on the camera is actually making the sky look a little bit brighter than it does here in person, but to orient the folks again who are new to the light reviews here on the channel, I'm about 10 yards back on my property. There's a little fishing shack out there that you guys will see here in just a second. That's about 10 yards back on my neighbor's property. From shore to shore, it's about 110 yards. So we're looking at about 130 yards total. And let's start it out here with the TLR-1 HL. That rosemary bush here on my side of the property right here on your screen, that is a good indicator of the flood, as is the grass down there at the bottom of your screen. It will let you kind of know how it looks. And then one thing I've said a million times on video, because it is absolutely true, when we zoom in there, that is actually closer to what I see with my human eye than when we're zoomed out. It gives you about the exact same detail that I can see in real life. You guys can see it's still raining. So again, real world conditions is what it is. But if somebody was standing out there, again, it's 130 yards away, I'd be able to tell they were standing out there. If they had something in their hand, I'd probably be able to tell depending on the size of the object, but it's not going to give you as much detail at distance as some of the other options. And now we're looking at the output from the HP-X, the subject of today's review. Once again, you see that defined wall there on the rosemary bush at the outer edge of the flood. However, you're going to see a lot more detail when we zoom in than what you just saw with the original. If somebody, again, was holding something in their hand, I would be able to very easily tell. I'd probably be able to tell size and shape of it as well. If I could tell you the difference between a cell phone and a gun, I'm not sure, but probably would be my guess. With that kind of Candela out there, that 77,000 Candela is doing a good job. But again, the spill, not quite as generous as what we were just seeing there with the original TLR-1 HL. And now you're looking at the output from the TLR-1 HP. Again, the original body style, but a different actual beam pattern. And that thing's pushing some serious Candela as well. You know, 60,000 plus Candela, no joke. And again, you can get a lot of detail there at distance. However, you're getting a little bit more spill than you are here with the HP-X. So pros and cons to each. Of course, this still has the traditional paddles, but there's that. And then again, HP-X to compare it to here. And then the HP TLR-1 HP here. The HP-X definitely appears to be a little bit higher in terms of color temperature, but in terms of actual intensity, there is a touch more. It's not a ton though. It's definitely not as big of a gap as there is, of course, with the 20,000 Candela that we saw with the original TLR-1 HL. Now that you guys have seen the beam comparison and seen the output of this light, pretty darn impressive in my opinion for a weapon light of this size. A few things to go over here before we close the video out. Number one, full disclosure, Streamlight did send this out for review here on the channel. And as I'm doing this review, these have just hit stores like within the last week or so. But they sent it out for the review. They don't get to see the review, anything like that. Just full disclosure, they're not paying me for this video, nothing like that. Additionally, we need to talk about some cons on this guy here. So one of them is going to be related to the Pro that we talked about earlier. I do think the switches on this, again, are probably the best switches in the game right now, at least in my personal opinion, with my preference set. One of the cons of it that you could do with the older TLR-1s is you mount these at the 12 o'clock position on a lot of like AR-15s or like little PDW style guns. You can mount them up there at the 12 o'clock position and run them with your thumb that way, because the toggles could be ran either way. You, in theory, could do this with this gun, but I'm telling you the ergonomics would be a nightmare. So it kind of limits these to use on a pistol. Now, if I had to guess, probably 95% plus of people who run these run them on a pistol, but just know that if you are planning on like a dual use kind of thing, this probably isn't the best body style for you. Another con of this light versus some of the other, Streamlight offerings out there historically is that, again, as of right now, these kind of just hit the streets. I believe the MSRP is around 229-ish units of measure. However, seeing them right now, if you guys are following down below in the video description, the links and all of those sorts of things for these, it's going to be roughly, depending on where you're watching this, roughly in the 200 units of measure down to the 175 units of measure, depending on the sale, codes, all of those sorts of things. So again, compared to a lot of the other Streamlight offerings that would be a little bit more budget priced on that, the price point is a little bit higher. That said, should this continue on in the legacy of all their other TLR-1 products, in my opinion, this is their best pistol light. If you want a dedicated pistol light, very, very good. I like the ergos. The performance has been solid. Drop test results have been solid. Everything's pretty much just been solid on the gun, on the light rather. So not a whole lot to complain about, but the price point is going to be a little bit more expensive than previous models from Streamlight. So there is that. I think with that, guys, I think we've touched on pretty much everything we wanted to touch on here in the video. If you guys have questions about the light, anything else, you can post those down below in the video description as well. As always, you can always post those over at my social media pages as well. And if you guys aren't following me on those social media pages, I definitely recommend you do so, particularly the non-meta ones. And if you guys have hit the subscribe button here and you've hit the notification bell, well, first off, if you haven't hit the subscribe button either on YouTube or Rumble, make sure you do that. Hit the notification bell and you're still not seeing 2 to 4 videos a week here on the channel. Easy way to actually see my content and not be censored by an algorithm is to sign up for the website, the email rather, at the website here on your screen. This will get you put on 2 different email lists. It will get you put on one that goes out once a month and it has all the videos since the previous month's email went out, so that way there is no big tech giant censoring your eyes from my content. Additionally, it'll get you put on the daily deals email. As the name indicates, it goes out pretty much every day and it has the best deals that we find on the internet, and it usually has about 8 to 10 of them, whether it be lights, optics, firearms, ammunition, any of those sorts of things. If it is in the email on a given day, it will be the cheapest that I know of for that particular item anywhere on the internet, because I've already done the price comparison for you, so that way hopefully it saves you some time and some money. Additionally, I know there's some of you guys out there that hate getting emails. Fear not. We also have a text message service that you guys can sign up for at the website here on your screen. Basically, goes out at most once a day, and it either has a screaming deal in it that will likely sell out, so that way I can get it right to you right away and not have to, sift through your email inbox. Or it will have a new video that just dropped, once again, getting around the algorithm and letting you guys actually see my content. And with that, guys, that's all I got for you. Thank you all for watching. As always, I truly appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing everybody in the next video.